Well, hey, welcome everyone. This is Badgerfish71. Excited to have you on board for a video that's been a long time coming. Today we're going to be exploring our world. It's been a lot of changes, and I want to focus on some of the builds that might not be the latest, but you haven't seen on the video channel before, so let's check it out. I'm going to swing around here and head down to our squid and moss farm house. There's a little house that I worked on here. You'll notice that I have some dams built up here on both sides, and that's because there was a river going through here at one point. And here we are. Yeah, all the water had to be drained out of here. It was a lot of work. Nothing like the Ocean Monument because there weren't guardians everywhere. But I wanted to beautify this place and just make it as inviting as possible. This is one of my first builds where I really tried to take an effort and make it just more homey and inviting to anybody that comes along. Let's go take a little look inside here. I want to do a shout out to Hannah Bear because she did such a good job in interior decorating with tables and chairs and couches and a nice beautiful little library up here. We also have an upstairs that's a little more sparsely populated, but we'll be back up here shortly to see what on earth this place is for. You'll also notice that we have scaffolding going up there. And, well, there's a good reason for that, because downstairs is where all the business happens in this house. You'll see that we have a very large water chamber with a lot of clicking noises here. This is a squid farm. And why would we want squid? Well, I wanted to have a reliable location for lots of ink so that I could make books and quills because I want to incorporate more books into our build. So you can see the minecart rolling along down here. It's collecting any ink sacs that may have flowed down. And then the ink sacs are redirected over in this direction to this tube that goes up to the second floor. Any ink sacs that are collected are sent up this bubble elevator, and we collect those. So you may wonder, where are all the squid? Well, that's because we are down at ground level, and that's why that AFK spot is available up top. So we'll go up there in a little bit and see how that works. Over here is a moss farm. It's quite the contraption. I found this online and followed the tutorial. It has all kinds of mechanisms and timer circuits and collection systems. But let's turn it on here. We turn it on and there's a lot of creation of various moss blocks, whether they're moss or carpet or azalea bushes. And there's also a lot of seeds. As those things are created, there's pistons that push the stones into place, and the moss blocks break, and the water washes them away. And then they collect down below. Let's go take a look at that. So if we open up these chests down here, we can see that there's lots of bushes, lots of carpets showing up, various seeds and so forth. You can see we've got moss blocks. Those have been very popular, and people have left almost everything else behind. But it keeps working away. Over here are the composters that convert everything into bone meal so that it can work on this side of things and bone meal the moss that's in there. So again, it's a very effective farm. And I don't leave it running all the time. So we turn it off, everything shuts down once the cycle completes, and we're done. We also have a portal in here that will take us. We'll take a ride on that here in a little bit. But I want to take a look up top at the AFK. But first, where do all of these ink sacs go? So you can see that bubble elevator transports them here. The hoppers then deposit them in this chest, and we end up with both ink sacs and raw salmon, which is very much appreciated because, well, it's free food. It doesn't produce quite like the Ocean Monument does, but it does work. And we have some extra chests here that may have extra ink sacs if needed, and looks like somebody's made a little fish spot here just in case we have some extra. There is a little lookout tower up here where we can see various builds. There's the ark over there with the rainbow and the roof of this house. And up top there you can see the AFK spot. So we'll run up there real quick. Now if you don't have some of these mods like Distant Horizons, you will not see anywhere close to this distance. In fact, the ground will completely disappear as well. But as we go up, you can see it's just a beautiful... Well, that's a little thunder. We have some rain going on in real life at the house here. That gave me a little bit of a scare. So we're going to keep riding up here. This is a view over towards spawn. We will be visiting some more over there once we get up here. So now we have our AFK spot. You notice these are slabs. We have a little gap here. We just don't want anything spawning up here. And of course we're staring through the glass panes. But we can look down and see quite a bit of the world out there. There's a mushroom island off in that direction. And you'll see several big builds over at spawn. One of those we will take a look at in this video, and I'll save the other big one for a future video. We have various builds going on off in the distance there. So why are we up in this AFK spot? Well, it has to deal with game mechanics in Minecraft. And what that entails is what we call the mob cap. That's the mob capacity. And while you're playing the game, there's a certain distance around you, a volume, if you will, where mobs can spawn. And if we're down at ground level, that sphere includes a number of locations that you may not want things to spawn. So we don't want the squid to spawn anywhere but our chamber. So when we go up to that AFK spot, the only spot in that sphere that is available for squid to spawn is this chamber. Now they've already been drawn down and collected there, but that's how that works. So the AFK spot will force all of the squid in there, and then you're good to go. You wait up there a little bit and you should have more than enough ink sacs for whatever you need. All right, we're going to jump back into the Nether and take a quick ride back to the transit hub. And we'll jump on the rail here. I do continue to add additional rails as players see fit and prefer to have some kind of a transport system back to their base. If you're on the server and you would like to have a rail built out to your spot, please let me know. I will be happy to build one. And just like that, we're back in the transport hub. That's the downstairs. And we'll jump right back into the overworld. And you'll notice there's been some minor adjustments here. We now have a flight deck, which will get you to land straight into the transit hub and my house. So I land here all the time and take flight. You can see we've got such a beautiful little town going on here. Speaking of that, we're going to take a little ride out to spawn. Yep, and one of our players has named our town The Town, or at least put a sign up. So we're going to take a little landing here. So this right here is spawn 00 on our server. And as new players join, this is what they'll first see as they get on. We've got some nice foliage, greenery, and so forth put in place here, and some nice pathways. And I wanted to do something special, and so I found a nice tutorial online and built this, what I think is a gorgeous city gate. And it's just a nice way to introduce people to our town. And off to the side here, we have our welcome village. Looks like all the signs are turned off since I have chat disabled. That's rather interesting. But it's a great way. This little place here includes all of the instructions, which are hidden at the moment. Basically our code of conduct here. And there's a few little storage chests that include food and some initial starter content for people that have a little bit of tool and armor and so on. Nice welcome package. And so as we enter the city here and look at these impressive gates, I'd like to read from the Bible. Matthew 7:13 and 14 says, "Enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it. Because narrow is the gate, and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it." So I like to have this big city gate remind us that there is a narrow gate to get to heaven. It's very simple to go through it, but it is narrow. And what it means by narrow is that there's a requirement to make it into heaven. And that is simply faith in Jesus Christ. And many people choose not to go that route. It's so easy, but it's the only way to do it. You know, Jesus said, "I am the way, the life, and the truth. No one comes to the Father except through me." So in one sense, Jesus is that gate. All right, well, let's adventure on a little bit more. You'll notice that we now have a beautiful set of stairs and a pathway. And if you look through the town from here, you can see pathways meandering through. We've tried to light up the town. We've filled in all the creeper holes that managed to get people into trouble and leave a little remnant behind. But you can see we've gone through some effort, and it's just a nice way to get through town. And what I like about this is we kind of have a mixture of dirt paths. We've got some stone blocks, and we've got some gates, and we have some lanterns that we can put up to help guide the way. And in Luke 1, verse 79, it says, "To give light to those who sit in darkness and the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace." So it works just the same in Minecraft, where if we don't have a light, we're in the darkness. And what happens in Minecraft when you're in the dark? Well, the mobs show up, the creepers, the zombies, the skeletons. Bad things that come along and are going to cause you troubles in your life. And in the real world, we have the same thing. We have struggles, challenges, we have temptations, we have situations that are difficult, financial, social, emotional, just difficult things that come across our lives that, well, it would be nice to have a lighted path to know the way. And that's why I read the Bible and I stay focused on Christ, because He is the one that keeps me whole and gives me the wisdom to avoid the pitfalls that life is going to throw at me. Now, as we travel through the city here and see various builds, we've definitely had a few more builds. There was a few little shops added recently. You can see that this pathway is rather simple, but meandering back and forth and winding this way and that instead of having just a straight shot that looks more like a city street. These are more welcoming and enjoyable. And you can see we're using oak slabs here because they're the same color palette as the dirt path. And it just makes for such a nice walk through town. And of course, like I said, we have these oak fences and lanterns to help light the way. And it's so beautiful at night here with the lighted paths, and you can see it's just a welcoming thing. So I encourage you, as you're doing your builds, come up with your own paths. You know, I doubt, oh, we can see these books here. I like to put these little books around the world so that people can get a little more information about our builds. And now that we've walked across town a little bit, I would like to show off the beautiful post office that was made by Shalom and Tiffa. And I'm sure a number of other people had help with some kind of contributions. But look at this thing. It is gorgeous. Just the perfect match of various block choices. We've got mossy stone and stone blocks. We've got slabs. We're using diorite walls to make tree trunks and just leaf blocks and so on. And then we've got all this oak, and I see lecterns in there and what looks like pink concrete or pink wool. It's all decorated, and there's even lines in the grass so you can tell where the mower's been. There's leaves around. And just look at the scope of this. Look at how big that is and all the effort. I see spruce up there. I see chains. And the whole thing is just an incredible build of combining the right color palette. And look at all of these extra little additions with the flower pots and these trees and the special dirt inside of there. And we've got lighting going on and stripped wood. It's just a beautiful, beautiful building from the outside. And can you imagine all of the hard work that went into this? Somebody sat down and figured out what blocks would go well together, what would work color palette wise, shape wise. It's a lot of thought went in there. I even see a little bit of basalt and I'm not even sure what kind. It looks like mud maybe there in the middle of the pathway, just to add a little variation. That's something that I've learned over the past few years working with Minecraft, that you just want to have variation. It just looks more natural. The natural world is so full of variation. All right, as we enter in here through the front door, we have these various halls that just, I mean, look at how warm and welcoming this is. It's a stripped spruce. It's beautiful. We even have little mailboxes here. Each one of these has one of the users' names on there. And whenever the light is lit, that means that somebody's got a message. But we've got pixel art picture frames on the walls and so forth. And big giant clay pots and chairs even with pillows hiding inside there. That's impressive. Now as we walk in, we have one of the halls in here. Look at how gorgeous this is. So many end rods for lighting, the chandelier made out of glass. We've got bamboo and whatever redwood that is. I don't use that wood, so I don't even know what it is. We've got fountains going on. It's just such an inviting place. It's so warm and cozy, and we've got copper blocks and what looks like quartz blocks there. It's just so beautiful. Copper lightning rods and candles on those for torches. And again, we have another hall for more mailboxes. It is a post office after all. More artwork. Some of these I don't know that I've ever seen before. That looks like an old game called Karateka and a hand, which don't really go together, but the Minecraft folks knew what they were doing. All right, and then we have this sanctuary in here that is just beautiful. We've got a cherry tree, homemade by the way, with various blocks, looks like fence posts. Not sure what those are supposed to be, but they look like they belong there. You can see that we have aquariums full of tropical fish swimming around inside. That is a lot of tropical fish that somebody collected. We've got various coral fans and so forth. And as we go up the stairs, we can turn around and look at the beautiful floor patterns made by the terracotta. Oh, got little bookshelves and what looks like basalt, polished basalt in the floor there. And it's just so warm and welcoming. I love the color palette. And here we have the prismarine, dark prismarine, which is another reason why you would want to have the ink sacs, because you can make dark prismarine with ink sacs and do it to that scale. We've got a beautiful pattern on the ceiling out of what looks like concrete. And I want to say there's yet another oh yeah, there's more stairs. And as we come up here, it's even more inviting up here. It looks like lodestones, more artwork hanging on the wall, topiaries, various plants and so forth hanging up there. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Not a lemur, but some other kind of little animal. And another hallway right above the post office hallway. This door is open and we can step out and look down on the other hallway, and just how beautiful and the effort that went into it. Look at those. Those are honey, no, not honey blocks, wax blocks. That takes a fair amount of bees to make all of that. More bamboo. It is just an impressive build all around. So I want to make a shout out to Shalom and anyone else who helped make this such a beautiful construction. And thinking of that, I would like to read from Psalm 139, verse 14, where it says, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. So when I look at this post office, it reminds me of how much effort God put into making me and humans in general. If you've studied biology and understand even remotely how DNA works, microbiology, cellular structure, cellular operation and mechanics, it's miraculous that we exist. And yet God spent so much time designing and planning it out. Although it happened one day, and he formed us out of the dust of the earth. And to him it was so simple he could do it in one day. So we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and this build is wonderfully made. So thank you, Shalom and Tiffa for working so hard on that. We really appreciate all the effort that you put forth in it. And I want to finish out one last thing with 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 16 and 17, where it says, all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be complete, thoroughly equipped for every good work. And I wanted to bring that up because of the Squid Farm, where we have all that ink, and the goal was to make the books, because the Word of God, the Bible, that book is the most impactful and special book of all time. And I just wanted to remind you that you need to spend time in the Word as much as you can, and learn about God, learn about what He's done for us, and learn how we are fearfully and wonderfully made, just like this post office. Well, that's all the time that I'm going to have for today. It's been a pleasure being with you today. And as the sun has set and we're enjoying all of this beautiful scenery with our beautiful town, I just want to wish you well and have you back next time in the next video. So until then, we'll see ya. Bye-bye.